So I was thinking about being dumb and no, I am sometimes I do feel like I'm dumb or something, or I'm just not that intelligent or very good at academics. I remember during my elementary days and high school days and college, I'm not the most intelligent person. Of course, I'm not putting myself down, it's just an observation that I noticed. And when it comes to studying, of course, there's some times that I do see myself like I do easily pick up on things I can easily understand, but there are times, most of the times, I do feel like I'm not the most intelligent person because when I sometimes when I study about stuff, um, it takes time for me. I have to force myself to understand the topic, and I don't know, perhaps I'm just not motivated, and I don't like the deadlines and the culture, the school culture where you have to meet deadlines and study and group study. I prefer being alone by myself, but I also prefer having one-on-one study, but in a group I can't concentrate that much. No, perhaps I can, but probably I don't like group setting that much because it's very hard to having contradicting opinions, and most of the times I just keep silent. Perhaps the reason why I think that I'm not the most intelligent person is probably because I'm not really motivated in studying. I'm not motivated in like forcing yourself to meet deadlines and yeah, based on I just see school as some deadline and work to do, straining your brain in order for you to understand stuff. But I want to open up because I saw this clip about students in the 1940s where there's limited opportunity for them, yet there's limited opportunity for them because all the opportunity for females at that time were getting married, and that's the only feasible future that they have. And education wasn't it's not a good option. You might as well get married. And I don't like to get married, but the only option I have is education for me to have a future, for me to have a job. Still, I don't like getting married also, and I don't fit the office type of job where you get a degree and you work in a company or something. It just doesn't fit me. um, I just realized these women are very intelligent and things like that. And I think school only works for those who have the mental and intellectual capacity to understand academics, science, math, things like that. And for those people who are, they're not really, I wouldn't say they're not intelligent, but their mindset, their, it doesn't fit school at all. And if I was living in that time period, I guess I don't want to get married. Perhaps just work in a grocery store, like low wage earning jobs, and probably save up money for a pension for me to live when I grow older. I guess I tried, I want to share this realization that I have, because I guess there's no opportunity for people who, I guess they're not really successful in school, in the academic field. There's not much opportunity for people, and usually they're looked down upon because they're not intelligent or smart. And usually movies show people about how successful people are and women's rights, and women can do it too. But I tell you, not all women are meant to be educated. As long as they can read, write, count numbers, can read numbers, know what that numbers mean, or can use a calculator. I prefer using a calculator because I'm not really good at making calculations in my brain. I think education is not for everyone. I think education only fits for those who have the mental capacity to fit in that box where education is, basically my point is, education is not for all people. For for both men and women, it's not for all of us. And now people are getting to be more educated, even those who don't fit the box, they just pass. I don't know why they pass, just like me. I just copy answers at school. I'm not the most intelligent person. I just make sure that this teacher is lenient so that I could pass at least. And I make sure that I'd be under a teacher who can at least does not let her students fail, and at least give her the passing rate. Education is not for all. Well, perhaps all of us can be educated, but at some point it doesn't have to be until half of our lives we have to be going to school or things like that. Like, it's really hard. And I do like the idea of educating a person, things like that, but I do prefer schools that don't really take up 4 years for you to, in order for you to get a degree. Like, that's like you go to school, it's most of your life, and then after that work. It's like you're not living, you live for work. You don't work to live. But then again, work is really hard. I don't know, I just don't feel, some people just they're just not meant to be educated. We're like conditioned. We have to be educated for us to live better future. But it doesn't education doesn't always mean a better future, a better life, because not all people have, like I said, the mindset of striving to understand and know things in order to make a living out of it. You could be educated on how to raise chickens or pigs, but those important stuff. But nowadays there's almost a degree for everything, like social science, um, even business. You don't need to be educated in business. There's so many successful people out there who didn't go to school but were successful and rich. So I guess that fallacy that education is a necessity, it shouldn't be, because not all people have the mindset. And imagine if you're not educated, the stigma behind that. Oh, you're illiterate, you're not really respected in society for not having a degree. And to be honest, if I wasn't forced to be educated, I'm just satisfied if I can read, write, and understand numbers. I don't need to understand science, how clouds, rain forms, and study things like that. I don't need to. I mean, I'm not really interested anyway. It's hard to be educated when you're not interested. You're just forced to it. And if I have a choice, I'll probably just quit until elementary. I'll not go into high school and just work immediately and get some experience. It's sometimes you learn things in life not in school but based on your experiences. So it's not really a necessity. It's a modern mindset. It's really modern that you need to be in a university, in high school, elementary. You have to pass all of those in order to be someone who can survive in this world. But you can survive still, even if you're not educated. As long as I said you can read, you can write, you know how to write numbers, understand numbers, that's it. And then you'll be educated. You learn how to communicate. Things are learnable, actually. And I think staying too much in a classroom also makes a person dumb. I mean, not all people, but majority of the people, it makes you dumb. It's like your brain can't breathe. You're staying in this box and sitting the whole day. And some people, they can't sit for a second. They have to move around. So I used to get annoyed with people like that, but now I just understand them. School isn't just for them. Like staying in an institution where you have to go to school, you have to behave a certain way, you have to be trained a certain way, and you have to do this in order to pass, in order to be someone who's considered successful in life. I really don't like school. I didn't learn anything. I just learned how to survive school. Teachers were very strict and cruel to students, and I have so many low scores at school. I'm not really the most, like I said, most intelligent person when it comes to school and academics. It takes time for me to understand, and I get stressed out when forced to do things that I don't want to do. It gives me anxiety or something, and but this is the life I have to live. I have to go to school, and I just wasted all of my childhood years to school. Imagine that. Those years are supposed to be years of cultivation, to gain experiences, but instead you're stuck in an institution where you have to wake up early, take a bath, comb your hair, take a brush, eat breakfast in order to go to school, just to have a job, in order for you to survive in this world. I mean, you don't have to. I guess it's difficult now for people to separate themselves from society, because that's what society conditioned. It's what the majority of people, and people are relational, so whatever other people do, the majority, you have to do it too, because like I said, we're relational and we relate to each other that way. So how could we survive if we're different? I mean, some people did survive, those who beat the odds, but some just don't, because people prefer to look at the majority rather than looking outside of the box and not to become the norms. I have that mindset till now. I don't really know how to separate myself from other people. All I know is that I don't like school. I don't like the idea of going to school. If I had a choice, I would never go to school. Like I said again and again in this video, it's enough for me just to read, write, and understand numbers. That's it. Most of what you learned in school anyway, you did not apply it in real life. Only a small percentage of people applied it in their daily life, and those are the people who are engineers, doctors. Not all of us are engineers, not all of us are meant to be doctors, but we're trained in a certain way. We're trained similarly, and yeah, academics, it's my weak spot. I really don't like academics. It's so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary. Why do you have to learn algebra, trigonometry? You don't need these things to survive. And I understand that without these mathematical calculations that we have, formulas, it won't progress as society. But you have to understand that not all of us have the same mindset, capacity to create something. Like those famous scientists who create something, they're only a small percentage of society. And also, not all people are destined to be rich. Majority of us are struggling to get by. So why do we have to be in this world where we have to, yeah, my rap's like going to school, academics and stuff. For me, school is, instead of, the intention is to cultivate our minds. It has become a hindrance for us to to be successful, at least in our goals. Like if we have goals, we can do it. It's like it's hindering us from cultivating ourselves. I prefer education that doesn't take years in order for to get a degree. It could be just months, just like a seminar. I prefer education like that, like a seminar. But if you're planning to be a doctor, you believe that you're smart enough to become engineer, a doctor, nurse, perhaps anything that requires years to study. If you believe that you're smart enough to understand learning these things in order to become a professional, then I think you should be educated. But if you don't, why should it be forced upon you to be something that you don't want to? And I really don't like school. I have bad experiences in school, and I believe it's not just me. Majority of people also have bad experiences when it comes to learning. And there's even schools, there's even like studies that how to cultivate your brain in order for you to understand better. I don't think that applies to all people. I believe that school is, instead of making you smarter, it's dumbing you down. It's really dumbing you down. So that's what I think. And yeah, I think that's all I could say in this video. A little rant about school, academics, school culture, things like that. So thank you for watching and listening, and please leave positive comments below or like this video if you agree. And thank you for your time.